2. Boom, we are live. We've got Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube on the run. So let's get stuck into what our parents have been talking about this week, which I have found interesting, engaging, and good overall. The first one is a question that I put out. You can give your child only one thing for the rest of their life. What is it? If you're on YouTube, you'll be able to see my screen. If you're not, you'll just have to listen to me, which is fine. So let's go have a gander at some of the comments here. I'm just going to have to move you for a sec so I can read the comments. Mr. Facebook. Okay, cool. Courage, righto. Why would you give courage to your child if nothing else? So when my son grows, he can push through anything and believe in himself that he's able to do anything he wants to do without fear. Pretty cool. I like it. I don't know if it would be my first quality that I would give if I could give nothing else. But the thought behind it, I think, is bang on the money. It's a hard one. Like, if you only got one thing you can give your kids, right? Because you always want to give them more. Freedom of choice, though, is another one. And I love that. I guess they've already got it. I think everyone's got that choice. There can be situations where you get into instances and you don't feel like you've got a choice. Certain governments might try and coerce you into making certain decisions, and that can be really difficult. But in the end, there is still a choice that's taken. Even if someone puts a gun to your head and says, do this, you've got the choice of whether you don't or you do. They've got the choice as to whether they pull the trigger or not. So there's always, I guess, nuance with the freedom of choice. I think that is something that everyone's got. But then if you combine those two together, freedom of choice and the courage to go and take action on things that they're really passionate about or they're excited about, that's a killer combination. So maybe the courage to follow the freedom, to follow freedom of choice, the courage to take freedom of choice, the courage to use freedom of choice would probably be a great combination. So what would it be for you if you could give your child one thing for the rest of their life and nothing else? What would you give your child? I'm very interested to know. And just drop it in the comments if you've got something, and I'll do my best to get to that as soon as possible. YouTube will be a little bit hard for me to get to, but I'll definitely get to it. Right, second one. Do you have a favourite child? And this was actually funny because we've got a few yeses, a few honest people. Now, I was the favourite child, of course, but it's not that we were loved any different. It's just that there was preferential treatment for me, I guess is probably a fair way to put it. And both my sisters would agree with that. Although I could easily argue the other way, and I'm sure that most last children would do the same because they tend to be the favourite ones. But yeah, look, no, they're all little grown-up rat bags, and that can definitely happen, which is pretty normal. Did you have I adjusted the question. I said, did you have at one time a favourite child? And what is it using at the moment? I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, just be real. So that's replied to something else. Yeah, I don't know. I'm lost on that one. But favourite children, I've trained when I was doing my women's program, and I was training some of the mums there. It was pretty funny. Like, I'd pick on them when I worked out who their favourite child was. I was like, playfully, right? I didn't mean this. But I was like, how dare you have a favourite child? And they're like, what? And I'm like, you're telling me that's not your favourite child? And I always got it right. So it's an interesting thing. And I think parents can have that. I don't actually think it's a bad thing because it's like, it's not the same as having favourite friends. But each child's going to have a different personality, right? And they're going to connect with people differently. So being more inclined or getting on better with one child as opposed to another one. Like, if you're a really sporty person and you've got a few kids and one of them's like a sports fanatic and they just love it and the other one's just no, I just want to sit here and I just want to write poetry, and then you're probably not going to be able to get the same level of experience with that child as with the other one. But if you love the poetry and the art and all that sort of stuff, that's fine. It doesn't mean you love them any different, and I think that's an important caveat. But just being like, okay, cool, yeah, we get on better in certain areas, and that's what I prefer doing. It's not necessarily a bad thing. Mum and Dad have a favourite child, and it ain't me. Who is it then, Tanisha? Is it Corey or is it the dogs? Could be Corey. Come on. Right, let's get to the next one because that was funny. Hey Whitney, how you going? I haven't talked to you for a while. Hope everything's well. Corey's the favourite. Have you parented all your kids the same? This was definitely not the case for me. So Jenny reckons same rules and boundaries, often different approaches according to the individual, which I actually think is brilliant. Because, like I said, when I was talking about that before, kids are going to have different preferences in what they're, or different sort of natures in what they're sort of doing. So if you take this textbook school approach, and if you know me at all, you know that I hate school and the educational system because it just treats everyone exactly the same, and we're just not. So if you're parenting all kids exactly the same, unless maybe all your kids are very, very similar in nature, then cool. But usually there's nuances there, and I think taking slightly different approach is beneficial. And I would say the same thing, as much of a lot of people may disagree with me. There should be very different boundaries for girls and boys for reasons, whether you agree with or not. I think that's quite important as well, especially as they start growing up. Same rules and boundaries, often different approaches according to the individual. I like that response. I think that's really cool. I tended to get the easiest sort of rules, but I was also very headstrong. Like for me, I didn't really. Corey's the favourite and gets away with everything. Oh, and you get away with nothing. I know you get away with stuff. Righto. Tell me good hands, blah, blah, blah. Older. This was interesting to me because in my family, the older one was always given the hardest end of the stick. And I thought that was pretty common, that most older kids were sort of like the trial test, and the parents are like a bit more strung and they don't let them do anything. And then the younger one comes through and only what they don't know about. Hold on, is that for you or Corey or both of you? I bet it's for both of you. Backwards. Yeah, older one had it easy. Usually the younger one gets it easy, but interesting to see that changes. But yeah, it's also going to vary on maturity, and that's what she was clarifying. Older one was more mature, so got things a little bit easier because seemed more grown up, which I think is fair. And that's adjusting the approach slightly to the individual, which I think is good. Last one. What is your biggest hope for your children? This one was actually really cool, and I think we got some really good conversation on this one. I enjoyed it. And one of my mates from China said happiness, which I think is great. Whether they get that by achievement or contentment or through love or good, I hope they surpass me in every way. And that is like, it gives me chills because I think that is amazing. If that's your focus for your kids and you actually want them to become more and better, I think that's really good. I know that I've seen it in my life, and I've seen it in other people, whether I've been teaching or whatever, or in business, actually, a lot in business. But some parents, when their kids are starting to really achieve, it can happen in sibling things as well, but they almost see it as like a negative reflection on them for whatever reason, or it's like it's challenging them because their kids are doing more than what they did. And it's really got nothing to do with the kid. Usually that comes back to your own insecurities and whether you feel like you've achieved enough with your life or you're good enough or whatever it is. It comes back to usually one of those two primal fears, which there is two. But I love what James, my mate, said there, and I think that's really good. You want your children to surpass you in every way, and I think that's brilliant. Like everyone I teach, everyone I talk to, everyone I have an interaction with in business or whatever. Now, for me, it's like, how much can I give to them so they can do better than what I did? Don't make the mistakes I did, right? Do it better, be smarter. That's like, I think that's a really good way to go. to be the best they can be. I think that's really good as well. And yeah, just sort of chasing what you're passionate about. I think if you can create the space for the kids in whatever way that is for you to be confident enough to chase the things that they care about, chase the things that they're passionate about, to feel safe enough that even if they screw up and they make really big mistakes, which they will, that you're going to be there to cushion the fall for them so that it's not such a devastating blow when they go broke or when they have a bad relationship or all those sort of things. And just being there and accepting that it's part of their learning and part of their growth. I think that's a really powerful thing you can do as a parent or a mentor or a teacher or whatever it is. Just not judging them, just accepting that they're a person, they're going to make mistakes the same as you did, same as you will continue to, and that's completely fine. And it's just about being there and realizing that a person isn't their behavior, and if you can separate their behavior from who they actually are, it's a very powerful thing, and it does make people feel incredibly safe. So that's my piece for the week. If you've got questions, comments, things you want me to talk about next week, chuck them in the comments. Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Awesome. Bunch of reels going out for the kids. If you want the kids to do some of these online programs, organising something now I'm really excited about, potentially doing some more in-person events, which, oh my God, I miss so much. I actually trained someone here today. It was really exciting. The first training I've done in person for quite a long time with a girl here. And just some simple things like, how to punch, what to do if someone grabs you on the wrist. Really cool. And it's, man, I miss it. Like, I miss seeing people learn different things and get that growth and being able to do it in person. Like, I do love when I see people who've done the online courses and they get those learnings and, I get to, whether I'm doing a test with them or something like that later on. Really cool. Which, incidentally, if you've got kids, you're watching this and you haven't done my programs, comment, message me, DMs, whatever, and I'll get you the links to the programs. Get your kids to do them because they are bloody amazing. And I say that because I know it. They are better than what I did with the in-person training, and your kids will get more out of it for a cheaper price. Found out how to do it, worked hard to make it happen, and it's there. So I strongly encourage you to take advantage of that and get the kids in to do it because it's hugely beneficial. And if you don't like it, I'll give you the money back. But it hasn't happened, and I doubt it will happen if the kids actually participate. That being said, sometimes the kids won't just connect with that format, which is fine. It's definitely worth giving it a try anyways. So jump on, give it a crack, get the kids the course. I don't just teach kick and punch. If that was all I was teaching, you could go anywhere to get that, right? The elements that we put into the program, just discussing them today, and this is one of the things I'm really excited about doing in person again, internationally, even more exciting. We go through the lessons and they're learning real powerful life skills. Things like breathing principles. Breathing for me is one of the most powerful things that you can do for your energy, for your health, for your well-being. How to breathe in a way that's going to help them control and manage their emotions, right? How to breathe in a way that's going to make them stronger. How to breathe in a way that's going to keep them healthier. How to breathe in a way that's going to oxygenate their body. First thing that we go through in the first week. Second week of the Yellow Belt program, we teach them about some foundational principles for health. Health. Insane that the world that we're living in now, with all the bloody information that we have more obese, unfit people than ever. And it's just getting worse. Heart disease. Boom, gone up through the roof, except for that year in 2020 where apparently all that disappeared and everyone was dying of COVID. But other than that, heart disease, apart from that 1 year where it didn't exist, and cancer took a rest too, funny. Apart from that, these things are just getting so much worse. Diabetes, and so many of these things are just super preventable. Like type 1, not so much preventable. Apparently reversible, I haven't done it yet. But type 2, very reversible, very preventable. Right? And they lead to things, if they're not dealt with early, that can be insanely, insanely detrimental to your child's longevity and health and quality of life. So, second, really basic principles of health in the second week, as well as some more techniques. Third week, we go over some financial principles, which kids are never taught. I wish I was taught these at school. I'm very entrepreneurial, that's my nature, and I sort of went and learnt them myself. But just some simple things for kids to learn. Fourth week, we look at emotional management. Fifth week, we look at some goal setting. And in the final week, some really solid skills and strategies for them so that they can take away and use whenever in their life. And you guys as well, if you've not been taught this, it's a great thing for parents to jump in. You don't have to feel embarrassed that you haven't done it. Really, really good thing for parents to jump in and do. With the kids, go through, learn it with them. And if you want to learn more, bang, like I'm happy to teach more. And that's where I'll do the in-person events, where we go into like deep dives into these topics. The last one for the 6th week is about confidence, and that's insanely powerful. They're all very, very powerful when applied, but you have to do it. If you're not doing it, it's not going to work. So if you haven't got that program, send me a message. Get your kids that program. It's insanely, ridiculously cheap. Like, I think it's less than $5 a lesson or $6 a lesson or something. 6 weeks, insanely good. You will see awesome, awesome results. So, leave it there. That's what we've been discussing this week. Shoot me a message if you need to. Otherwise, I'll talk to you next week. See you guys. Oh, how do I finish this one? That one? Yep. And YouTube. I don't even know how to finish this. I'll have to go to YouTube. It's really